Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be reviewing another fragrance from Derek Lam, 10 Crosby Ellipsis. Now this is a sandalwood jasmine fragrance, but it's kind of a mystery about how it smells so different than what you would expect a sandalwood jasmine fragrance to smell like. So if you'd like to know what that means, what I think, and also if this is worth picking up, then keep watching. First and foremost, I like to always remind you guys that I purchased this with my own money. This is not a sponsored review. None of my reviews are ever sponsored. Sometimes companies and houses will send me fragrances to review, but my reviews are always honest, so if I don't like it or if it has poor projection or longevity, I'll definitely let you know. But I also like to remind you guys of fragrances that I purchased with my own money in case you want to put a little bit more weight on those reviews than the other ones. It's completely okay. You can do whatever you want and think whatever you want when it comes to fragrances that were either sent to me or from my personal collection. This fragrance is from my personal collection. Now, Derek Lam is one of my, it's like a contemporary designer house, and their fragrances definitely have that contemporary designer feel to them, kind of like Rag & Bone or Elizabeth and James. There's a lot of really neat things happening with this house, and I also love how very simplistic and minimalistic each of their fragrances are, while at the same time being really unique at the same time. And Ellipsis is no exception. Now, the only two notes listed in this fragrance are sandalwood or Australian sandalwood and jasmine. And I love sandalwood and I love jasmine. So you'd think that although this is very minimalistic, that it would just smell like sandalwood and jasmine. But actually, there's a lot of mixed reviews on this fragrance because of how different and kind of weird it can smell. Now, I have purchased this recently, but I had a sample of it that my mom sent me and I tried a bunch of times and I really liked it. And so obviously, oh, excuse me while I get comfy. So obviously I do have some experience with it. So I have read reviews on it when I was researching the entire brand. I was noticing that a lot of people kind of had the same reaction that I did, which was, this is jasmine and sandalwood? This is it? But obviously I purchased a bottle because I like it, but I did kind of wanted to talk to you guys about the fragrance. Now, there's three things I've noticed that this works on my skin. And actually, before I sat down to this review, I kind of had like a note list written down of the last few times I've worn it and how it smelled, because I always write notes. You guys don't see the notes, but I read them before I start the videos. And I kind of wanted to compare to see if other people had the same issues. Now, I usually don't like to read or watch other people's reviews because I like my reviews to be a little bit unbiased, and sometimes subconsciously I just kind of parrot what people say. But I was really surprised that two of the three things that I smelled, I've seen other people have issues with. So the first thing is if you like really unique jasmine scents, this is for you. If you like your run-of-the-mill regular white floral jasmine that everyone is familiar with and accustomed to, this is not it. The sandalwood in this is really beautiful, but this is a predominantly jasmine fragrance. The sandalwood just kind of gives it a little bit more heft in the background and gives it a nice base. The weird thing with the jasmine is on my skin, it can go one of three ways. It can either go really sweet, syrupy, almost like floral, like jammy rose, only like a jammy jasmine, which is bizarre, but I like it. It can go really green, like almost musky. And I don't really like that too much. Not with the jasmine, it smells a little too dated for me. And then it kind of goes really kind of sour. And the two notes that I've noticed that people really get are sour and the gourmandish, not so much like the musky greenness. I don't know if that's just my skin playing with the jasmine and the sandalwood differently, but I've seen a lot of people say it's very sweet and syrupy and white floral, or very sour, and it's kind of interesting how it can go from sweet to sour. It completely depends on my skin, it completely depends on the weather, but overall I actually kind of really like the fact that it's like a mystery every single time you wear it. It's kind of like a mood ring. Now that being said, I do really like this fragrance. I do think it is, especially when it goes gourmandy on my skin and it's kind of like a sweet jelly jasmine. I love that. I think it's beautiful. And I think the sandalwood really plays the best part when it goes that way. And thankfully on my skin, most of the time I get that. I really only get the green when it's really super duper hot. And the sour note, it just kind of depends on the day. Maybe I'm wearing a lotion on my skin, because sometimes I use unscented moisturizer and maybe it's just counteracting with that. It is interesting how it can go a variety of different ways. But when it's the mostly like sweet, syrupy, gourmandish, when you get the best sandalwood from that, it kind of comes off a little bit creamy. I feel like that's when this fragrance really shines. So since that's most of the time on my skin, I felt comfortable enough buying a bottle of this. But if you read the notes and you expect a jasmine sandalwood fragrance, it's not going to be what you're expecting. So I would definitely sample this first before you purchased it. Thankfully, I think they're available at pretty much most Sephoras, and their sample sets and discovery scents are readily available. But it is definitely worth checking out if you're looking for a minimalistic, really kind of fun jasmine fragrance. And it sounds weird because again, it's just jasmine and sandalwood. Because it's kind of like a mood ring or like a blind box, it's kind of interesting because you don't know what you're going to get each time. I'm okay with that, but I would definitely wouldn't recommend blind purchasing this because it kind of can go a variety of different ways. I would definitely sample it first. Now let's talk about the projection and longevity. I've noticed with most of Derek Lam's fragrances I've tried, they pretty much have the same. I don't get a crazy amount of projection and I don't get a crazy amount of longevity. I usually get about 4, maybe 5 hours if I'm lucky of longevity. And you guys know I hope for 4 to 6, but being a designer fragrance, you kind of hope that they would perform a little bit better. It's fine with niche houses or indie houses if the longevity is a little bit different, or natural perfumery, I understand. But for a fragrance from a designer house that has a bigger budget, I would expect the longevity to be better, especially across the board. You know, I can understand if maybe 1 or 2 fragrances only perform for like 4 hours, but then maybe other ones are better. For a jasmine sandalwood fragrance, I would expect about 6 hours. Unfortunately, I get about 4, maybe 5. So this does underperform in the longevity department. As for projection and sillage, this isn't a loud fragrance, and I don't think that that's a good thing. I feel like a fragrance like this, which is more minimalistic and it's actually really pretty and pleasant, specifically when it's in its kind of syrupy gourmandy stage, would be a beautiful fragrance that would just be fantastic if it projected louder. There are some fragrances out there that I appreciate that they are more intimate, and there are some fragrances out there that you want to project a lot louder. And with simplistic, more minimalistic fragrances, I want them to be louder. They tend to be more easily accepted. People tend to be more gravitated towards loud, simplistic fragrances or minimalistic that I've noticed. If it's a really complex fragrance that's really loud, some people don't understand it. They might not like it. It might clash with what they think a fragrance would smell like or how a fragrance smells good. And so a lot of times, some of those more crazy loud fragrances, you want to be a little bit more intimate, maybe arm's length or less. And with minimalistic fragrances, this is just my opinion, I like them to be louder. And this is very close to the skin. The first hour, it's maybe arm's length if I'm lucky, and then it becomes a skin scent. So I do kind of have to knock it a few points for not being as loud as I'd like. But I do really like this scent, and it is one of my favorite things to wear when I'm working. So that's my thoughts on Ellipsis from Derek Lam. It's definitely an interesting scent, worth checking out. Sample it first. I wouldn't buy it blind, especially if you're a jasmine lover, because you might be a little bit disappointed because it might not be what you're expecting. But if you do like minimalistic, artsy, but easy to wear fragrances, I think this is a winner. It's also business and professional appropriate because it does sit closer to the skin. So if you want to smell something sweet and floral and a little bit sandalwood for the workplace, this is great. It is on the more youthful side, I think, but I think anyone from any walk of life at any age or any gender can wear it. So, you know, if you like it, go for it. I obviously love it. I purchased a bottle, but again, I would sample this first. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, guys, if you like my fragrance reviews and my fragrance videos, remember to give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue doing videos like this. And also don't forget to subscribe because it's free and I'm free. And I put out new videos every Monday through Friday and sometimes on the weekends as well. So I'll always have something for you to watch. In any case, I hope you guys are all happy and healthy and have a great day, month, year, whatever. and I'll see you next time.